existence, our existence and importance. And I would like to believe that all my background supporting team is on standby. That is, I'm referring to my technicians now, so that whatever has happened to me doesn't happen when the speakers are coming in to actually present, because we've got a lineup of a very, very beautiful program where we have invited very powerful and learned scholars in different fields. So I would like that the technicians just be on standby so that we don't experience what I'm experiencing here, because I don't know whether the system is feeling this coldness, this cold front. I'm not sure, because we've ran our tests and everything was fine. But being that as it may, welcome everybody to our program. I would like to also welcome my principals that are looking virtually to this particular program. Just a few highlights on this particular program. That would be the changes that would be on the program. Please note the following, that I'll be doing the opening and welcome, which I've just done. And the presentation that is happening around 10:30, that was supposed to be done by Mr. Ishmael Mbogoto. I'll be doing that. And then the words of motivation to all librarians, that is supposed to be done by our counselor, the MMC for Community and Social Development, will be done by Mr. Mbogoto himself. Just an apology from our MMC. She's engaged in council exigencies that they are busy deliberating on as we speak. She wanted to be with us. She's a passionate person about libraries, especially education. So she wanted to be with us. So unfortunately, she won't be in. So she will be then be replaced and by our acting divisional head, which is Mr. Ishmael Mbogoto. Now, on the program, we've got a Ms. Mahlodi Murwa Modishi, who's going to be kickstarting the actual program. So all those that are logged in now, all of us, including myself, can we then put our gadgets, our nice gadgets, into the silence mode, or even switch them off, so that we don't also disturb the presenters as they present. And also that as the presenters are busy presenting or activities are taking place here on this virtual platform, that please your videos and your mics are muted. And then if you want to converse something, there is a platform where you can also use the chat platform that you can use to actually see what is being communicated. And if you want to communicate something, then you can do that. I'm not sure if the technicians would allow that, but I think we encourage that so that we can see what people are thinking. Now, to kickstart, there is going to be a video that I would like us to actually see before, so as to, break the ice. We know with the city of Tshwane, we would like to brag with what we have. So we have prepared a video that we would want you to see before the start of the presentation and the background by our colleague, who is also a LIASA Gauteng North chairperson. I hope I'm setting a nice platform for her. And I don't know the technicians if they can flight the video that we have prepared, the first video. Thank you very much to that wonderful video that was prepared by our very own staff members. I'm sure you have seen after the end of the video that it was prepared by our own staff in collaboration with our departmental colleagues from the Communications, Marketing and Events Department. Without any waste of time, let us give it to Ms. Mahlodi Moroa-Modishi, who's going to give us a background to the Library Week, the purpose of the day, and from the Library and Information Association's perspective as the Gauteng North Chairperson. Ms. Moroa-Modishi, you can now take over.
Thank you, Mr. Hlophe, for giving me this opportunity to give a brief background and the purpose of today's event. To LIASA National Office, LIASA Executive Committee members and Rep Council members, City of Tshwane Library Service Management, LIASA Gauteng North, former LIASA Gauteng North and current Executive Committee members, LIASA members, stakeholders, and sponsors. Colleagues, good morning. Today we are celebrating Librarians Day. Just to give a brief background about this day, the Library and Information Association of South Africa, LIASA, was launched on the 10th of July in 1997. This formation was a culmination of an era that ended in different associations that have been over 75 years, been striving in a variety of arenas for recognition as the voice and advocate of LIS in South Africa. During the 1990s, when it was clear that change was imminent in South Africa, the library and information sector joined many organizations and professional bodies in planning, debating and articulating the new formation and policies for implementation in a post-apartheid era. There was a need for all LIS sector workers to come together and discuss issues of importance in the profession. This led to a conference titled Libraries and Information Services in Developing South Africa, held in 1995 in Durban. It is a conference that has always been remembered primarily by its enthusiastic participants as the One Voice Conference. It was defined by Ms. Keira Soroka as the train of unification that was about to leave the station with all on board. It was the beginning of the 18 months path towards preparing an association that would speak with one voice on behalf of all people involved in library and information services. LIASA, as it is today, is a professional non-profit organization uniting and representing all institutions and people working in libraries and information services in South Africa. The 10th of July is thus a very important day in the calendar of library and information workers. It marks a day during which librarians pause and think about the critical role they play in nation building, supported by an association that speaks with one strong voice that serves the library and information services profession. A decision was made in the later years to name and recognize the 10th of July as the Librarians Day. The purpose of today's meeting or today's event is to promote information and knowledge sharing through telling powerful stories and making sure that these stories are recorded, preserved, and made accessible not only for us, but for future generations. So today we are celebrating Librarians Day. It's about librarians telling powerful stories, and also as librarian, making sure that the stories that we tell and that our community tells, we preserve them and make them available for all. Thank you, program facilitator. That is the purpose why we are here today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mahlodi. Thank you very much for this background. And then I hope librarians are identifying with the message, because most of the librarians that have logged in here, I think they were part and parcel of the formation of this wonderful association, of which I myself was part of it. I'm proud of being part of the contributors to the existence of the very same association that is representing all information workers across the country. And I'm hoping that it will also represent us internationally. I'm sure it is recognized internationally. So thank you very much for that, Mahlodi. 1997 is a long time. There are new entrants into the field. They need to actually, familiarize themselves with the history of this association, and also be proud of being library and information specialist. For one reason and one reason only, that this profession is actually the mother to all the other professions, whether they like it or not. The information they get it from all the librarians that they consult when they go to their respective libraries. Without any waste of time, let me also try and catalyze this program by allowing a poetry rendition by Lesedi Moloto, who's also an author, and she writes books. So if she's ready, she can then entertain us with one of her poetry renditions. Is Lesedi ready for the rendition?
Yes, I'm ready. I just can't record it on a video. I don't know how to.
Okay. You can go on, Lesedi. Don't worry.
All right.
I think what we are interested on is the content. We
All
will
right.
see your beautiful face as we go on.
All right. My name is Lesedi Moloto. I am a final year BSc student at Sefakomagatu Health Sciences University. I'm both an author and also I recite poems. I really consider myself to be an artist more than anything. So today I'm going to share with you two poems that I wrote. The first one being Time, and then the second one being The Things I Don't Think About. Before my time was trapped in a timeless time. The compass bled in vain. The beginning was the end, but the end was never the beginning, which means dawn became before my midnight senses. Cold breeze, the collection air when it fires the wind. Fog mist falling apart, the weather turned complex, and at the very same time, it picked the sound of my heartbeat. Creepy imaginations velvetly spilled colorful wines, and I found myself lost in the eyes of a handsome work of art, a sculpture beautifully cut that I kept on wondering who was the sculptor behind. It was wearing a Roman goddess of dawn, the speed of light diffracting through the aperture of my iris, and my mind was right then a prisoner of time. Time, the twilight, the dawn before the midnight. From my window, I see the sunrise. It's shining on everybody but me. I'm the first to see the sunrise. How is this fair? I open my curtains wide enough, hoping the light would illuminate inside out, but none of the light is making it in. I lay on my bed and wonder why even a single ray is not diffracting its way through all the slits of my broken soul. My thoughts are getting the best of me, and insanity drives my mind to a place only known by great minds as I start painting pictures of his face in mind. Don't fall asleep. That is my prayer throughout the night. I don't have much to say, but please stay with me for a while. My heart has been broken one too many times, but I believe deep inside me that this might be worth a while. My nights are long and I long to share them with you. Even during the darkness of the night, the imagination is the light and armor. Most longest paths I chose to take in this world. So cold that feel alone even when surrounded by multitudes of people. I'm afraid of where I'm going. I know I chose my destiny, but I wish I knew where my fate lies. Confused between who I am and what this world expects of me. But the man I see on the mirror knows me better. So I guess I should listen to my instincts because I can go all around the world. But if I don't inspire myself, I'll never be motivated. I'll never be able to unleash the being deep down my scarred soul. The voices around me are telling me to let go of the past, to not cry over spilled milk. But what they don't understand is in the past is where I lost myself. He once said, I can have my bread buttered on both sides, so I chose the side with the most butter. Little did I know that the intermolecular forces of the side I chose weren't strong enough, so it evaporated into thin air. I don't know if my thinking is amazing, but I know that I fascinate myself. Every time I think of amazing places, my imagination takes me. I didn't complete this, but let me do it now. In my silence, I have my loudest of thoughts, and I'll think about everything. My mind can think about if I had time to think about everything. My question is, do you need to know the things I don't think about? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lesedi. Thank you very much, Lesedi. You very much sound like the next big thing in the South African arts and culture industry. I'm not so sure about the career you are currently studying for. You know what? You are a brilliant author and a poet. You know, there's one line that I've actually taken that I'm actually rewriting for all the librarians. It says, "From my window, I saw the sunrise." So it should be reading for us as librarians. From every book, we saw the sun rise. So from every book that any user or any of us are reading or opening, the sun should be rising. So thank you very much for that rendition. And I hope you are ready for others as well. I'm sure you are also you are going to give us another one as the program progresses. Now, as I informed you guys, the next speaker is supposed to be my director or our acting divisional head, Mr. Ishmael Mogoto, who have swapped with the MMC. So I'll be doing the reflections and the celebration, the roles of librarians in the development of reading promotion in the city of Tshwane. So, you know, with librarians, we are expected to be versatile. So I'm trying to also be one of those versatile librarians. Now, as the city, as part of the service delivery program, the city of Tshwane's Arts, Culture, Library, Information Service Division, in partnership with LIASA. LIASA is the Library Information Association of South Africa that Ms. Modishi has just presented now, and several stakeholders. We are hosting this program online. You know, the aim was deliberate. It was actually to reach to as many people as we can, so that we celebrate with all the librarians and actually to share what the city of Tshwane and other stakeholders are actually doing under the theme telling powerful stories. The city and its partners are of the understanding that library sector will continue to celebrate and use this theme until the end of the year. We know that with the upcoming conference, the theme is also going to be continuing, that where librarians are going to be sharing powerful stories and so on. We're also of the opinion that as humans, we're always telling stories. The stories that we actually share of you know, current news, we are of the view that they will amplify the accomplishments of the heroes and pass on cultural traditions and transfer knowledge and history. We know that librarians have been central in the collection of all those stories, preserving them and sharing these stories in their respective communities. This was from the first establishment of the first library here in South Africa, which is the National Library of South Africa. If you go there, you will find lots and lots of stories that have been archived, recorded, and then, placed there. So you can share from the period of 1818 up until now. So the stories that we are facilitating are stemming from, a lot of challenges. So the city is also one of those who are also telling stories via the programs that we are implementing. These are stemming from funding constraints, provisioning of adequate and relevant materials, infrastructure problems, insufficient internet access and connectivity, inadequate disaster management, and vandalism of our facilities. We know that for those who are residing within the boundaries of the city, we have experienced a lot of vandalism and theft in some of our facilities, where vital equipment was stolen, such as computers and so on. So this is actually taking us back. These are not new, actually, but they don't deter our librarians from being resilient and then going forward. As librarians, we understand the powerful and the power of storytelling more than anything else. A good story draws you and shows you different ways to think and touches your mind and hearts and life. Even when the business of sharing stories, it's not easy to forget the power of your story. So with all the programs that we are doing, we know that they will be leaving a legacy for posterity to actually happen. So I am actually not going to take much of the upcoming speakers to actually tell us their powerful stories. However, I was just briefly reflecting to all of you what the city and its partners and stakeholders are actually undergoing. There are various ways where that we use to actually tell these stories. These are in a form of programs, the Librarians Day, the readathons, the read out louds that we conduct. We also have our own traveling library that is going to schools to go and tell these powerful stories, incite all these young up and coming writers like Aboli Seidi to actually write books. The preservation of our own languages, our indigenous languages. We also encourage, people to write on those, using those. We know that, some, if not most of our indigenous languages are now under threat of being extinct in the next 100 years, because now we are preferring English more than we prefer our own languages. People cannot even praise themselves. They don't know even the red or is Tagazelo Zabo. They don't know how to praise themselves in their own languages. So we've got a program that actually encourages those, so that people can start, looking deeper into their history, deeper into themselves, as to how far do they know their, their traditions and customs, and preserving those traditions and customs. And what other way of doing that than to write in your own language? Write in Sepedi and write in Sesotho, write in Setswana, Chivenda, Xitsonga, Sizulu, and so on, so that, posterity will not judge us to say we were just excited to talk English, we were excited in writing all these things in English, but we forgot our own history and our own culture and customs. So with this particular program, we are actually also in, sharing with librarians how those stories can actually be told. We in the city, we have started with what is called, Africana Corners, where we will be actually organizing, and inviting people who will be coming and, sharing stories with the youngsters, even and old people, to actually tell their stories, this oral storytelling, so that we normally tell people that we are good at. We are actually going to revive those, where people will be coming in, discussing, sharing stories in those particular languages, even writing the history of their places. Where is Mamelodi coming from? What was the reason that Atteridgeville came into being? We need to go and investigate all those things, and just to find out the history of our place. If you don't know your history, that means you are a nation that is doomed, that is heading for a very, very dangerous cliff. and then it's going to wipe out our existence as the nation. Now, with that, let me then try and get an understanding that the following presenters are ready to actually present. There's a presenter from Sefako Makgatho Health Sciences Universities. These are representatives that are coming from the university. We've got a very close relationship with this university. We are actually one, if one can come to think of it, because each and every program that we run or that we implement or we present, there's going to be at least one or two, presenters coming from the university, which then is exciting and is encouraging to see the relationship that we have with this particular university. So the following presenters will be coming in. It's Dr. Moagisi Edwin Silika and also Dr. Mutlalipula Palwane. So firstly, in the presentation, it would be Dr. Moagisi Edwin Silika. But before he does his presentation, I would like to actually give a brief bio or biography of our doctor, so that I set up, a stage, with every king, there is someone that must actually come up front and say praises for that particular king. So with academics as well, we have also developed that culture that we need to give a bio so that people know that whoever is presenting is actually, conversant with what he or she is actually presenting to us, is actually a researched and knows what he's talking about. Let me try and just share the bio so that you can see. Yes, I'm hoping that you are seeing our beautiful doctor there, not beautiful, but handsome doctor. Dr. Silika was a high school teacher. This biography interested me when I actually saw it, when it started by saying he was a high school teacher, meaning the doctor is interested in lifelong learning. He is a teacher between the era of 1989 and 2008. He's now the head of Department of Academy and Literacy Science Communication at the Sefako Makgatho University since 2016 until now. He has worked as an HOD lecturer at the Northwest University between 2006 and 2016. He currently holds the following qualifications, which is what the upcoming librarians, learners must actually, envy to be. All these qualifications, are for one person, and these are not honorary qualifications. He actually achieved them on his own. He's got a PhD in English, an MA in English, MA in TESOL from the University of Pennsylvania, a BA Honors in English, BA in English, University of Botswana, a certificate in academic literacy from Syracuse University. Excuse me if I'm not pronouncing it well. A certificate in strategy implementation, the University of Witwatersrand, which is Wits University. Currently, he is doing a master's in higher education with the University of KZN. So he's a person who's advocating for an existential approach to learning and love of words and the influence they have and the ability to create and recreate lives. This is our doctor that is about to present. As you can see from this particular biography, this is a well-learned doctor who's going to be giving us an informed presentation. Thank you. Doctor, if you are ready, you can then give us your presentation. Is the doctor ready for the presentation?
Please. Yeah. Good morning, and thank you, colleagues. I'm not sure if I'm audible that side.
Yes, you are, Doctor.
Oh, thank you so much. And I just wanted to remind colleagues that I'm with my colleague, Dr. Palwani, who will also be sharing some slides with me. I'm not sure as to whether, should I continue right away? Because
yes,
I had thought she would be introduced.
Yes, you can. And before she also present anything, I would also want to sing her praises as well, as I've done for you, so as to be on a fair page.
Yeah, the thing is, we are co-presenting, and then we will be sharing slides.
Okay, let me then, before you do that,
we are doing the same presentation.
Okay.
We have allocated slides between ourselves.
All right, let me then share the biography of her as well, so that it's fair for her as well, so that also the attendees can know who she is, where she comes from, what is her background, how learned she is, how informed is her with the content that she'll be presenting, both yourself and her. Yeah, I think it will be fair. All right, Dr. Mali Mutlalepula Palwane is a dentist and educationalist at the Community Dentistry Department of the School of Oral Health Sciences at the Sefako Makgato Health Sciences University. And up to now, she's still there. She has acquired the following qualifications to her credit: a comprehensive nursing diploma at Baragwanath Nursing College in 1992, a bachelor of dental therapy at Medunsa in 2000, a Bachelor of Dental Sciences in 2008, and a postgraduate graduate diploma in community dentistry in 2011, both at the University of Limpopo. Postgraduate diploma in health professions education at UCT in 2012. A famous Safri Fellowship in HPE at Keller University, UK in 2015. She will tell us what is that, because I'm one of those who I don't understand, but I think she's going to share that with us. She's got a certificate at SMU in 2018, Masters of Philosophy degree at the University of Stellenbosch in 2019, a certificate in digital teaching and learning skills at the UK, in the UK in 2021. Librarians, I'm hoping that you are noting that, because we need that skill so that we can actually, impart knowledge to our users. Her other experiences are the following. She practices as a professional nurse at the Paul Kruger Memorial Hospital from 1993 to 1994. She was a nursing tutor at the Health Nikon Nursing College in Pretoria from 1995 to 1996. She did a community service as a dentist at the South African Military Health Services in 2009. She has presented a research work in the International Association for Dental Research and the South African Association of Health Educationalists, including the latest paper that she is presenting with Dr. Sleka in the enfranchising the arts into the mission of human wellness. She's a member of the Senate of Library Committee. She has a ticket to teach community of practice. She has interprofessional education and collaborative practice. She does service learning and community engagement facilitation at SMU. You know, Dr. Palwane, I'm now jealous because, my biography doesn't even, it's not even a quarter of what we have achieved. But both of you combined, I think you are still going to produce lovely books that we will then present to our users. Without any waste of time, let me give it to you to start your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Banda. And good morning, colleagues. As you may, I hope we're not going to have a problem. We've been having a problem with connectivity here and there, but I hope it will allow us to give our colleagues what we have always wanted to share with them. And as you can see that, okay, on the program, we are going to be presenting a paper on bibliotherapy. But before we begin with the concept of bibliotherapy itself, I think I need to share this. As we were preparing on Wednesday discussing the very presentation, we came to a point where we remembered that actually the two of us, there's something coincidental about them. One is that that coincidence actually is the fact that Dr. Palani's elder brother is called Ikalafei. That's a name for heal yourselves. And I also have a younger brother that is my aunt's son, whose name is also Ikalaheng. That one, the only difference here is the dialect in Setswana, where we have the Sehuruti and Serolong. But very, very interesting about this. As you can see, I hope my screen is appearing that side.
Yes, we can see you, doctor.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
It's only your audio that is not now. We can't hear you now.
All right. And this side, we have unmuted.
We can hear you.
All right. Thank you so much, Sam. Yeah. Let me try and explain the fact that her elder brother is Ikalafeng. My cousin brother is also Ikalaheng, which somehow shows that deep in the consciousness of our people, there lies an awareness that people or individuals have a capacity within them to heal themselves. Now, this in modern philosophy is spoken about by a gentleman called Jean-Paul Sartre. Now, he's famous for this concept of existentialism. Now, existentialism deals with individuals taking their own destiny or the affairs of their lives into their own hands without depending on anyone. Now, even in terms of healing, it looks like indigenous people have always believed that people have within them the capacity to heal themselves. And I think they've always been doing it through the arts, of which today we are going to talk about bibliotherapy, simply because we have moved from a way of telling stories verbally. Now we are having them in books or in Biblia. Hence, we are talking about stories healing us, but these stories are now written, hence we call them bibliotherapy. And I want to believe that this is not just an African phenomenon. People all over the world have always, even before the invention of a degree called MBCHB, without undermining it, I really appreciate it. But you can see that people have always innately had the desire or an awareness of the fact that they are capable of taking their own health into their own hands, and their bodies have been created such that within them there is a capacity to recover, and their psyches also have within them those elements or those faculties necessary for recreation. And I want to believe that at this time, you are already with me when I choose to use the word recreation, which means to create again. Now, writers or people who write books for us, particularly poems, as we've just heard listening, these people, that is why they were even called prophets or healers in some cultures. The Romans would call a poet Vetus, which means a shaman or a healer. and words can heal. Now, more than 500 years ago, a well-known playwright by the name of William Shakespeare wrote a play called Macbeth. In Act 5, Scene 3 of that very play, Shakespeare gives us a medical doctor who is a character trying to attend to the problem of Lady Macbeth. And then this physician, who is very smart, who knows that he is mortal, he's not omniscient, admits to the family that no, the type of sickness that the lady is undergoing, it's very difficult for me to heal because it is a type of sickness where the sick person only, or where only the sick person can heal themselves from what is called a disease. Now, the word disease, this is where it comes from. It's a dis, the opposite of ease. Now, when you are at ease, everything is fine. But now when we add the prefix, it means the ease is experiencing a reverse thereof. Now, I want us to then look into the definitions of the word bibliotherapy, which is going to be taken over by my colleague.
Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. As you can look at this text, Bailey did some definition of the bibliotherapy in 1964, but the issue of bibliotherapy dates back to 1272. Back then, it means this effect has been taking place worldwide and people have been benefiting for years. Bailey then defined bibliotherapy as a therapeutic reading in which children find duplications of their own problems and observe how other children face the same difficulties. So that eased their minds into healing and health, as my partner was just saying. Redden and Wilson also in 1989 open course, the guided reading of written materials in gaming, understanding on solving problems relevant to a person's therapeutic needs. Ladies and gentlemen, books heal, libraries heal. We have bibliotherapy. Sometime in the past, people used to hire even bibliotherapists or librarians in the hospital libraries in order for the bibliotherapists to heal those who were sick. Another definition from Webster's International Dictionary said, bibliotherapy is the use of selected. The material is being selected purposefully, and there is usually guidance. And it's a therapeutic adjuvant in medicine and psychiatry. He has been explaining medicine and then psychiatry. Books are healing the mind. Books and libraries are healing the mind, and they heal the nation. Can anyone tell me if at all there's anyone now above the age of 20 who is not depressed from COVID-19, from load shedding? People need bibliotherapy. People need to heal one way or the other. It's worse that now our hospitals are full of our people. So if we have to go to other definitions, I won't go to all of them. Abilash and Jothimani in 2019 also said this is an approach employing the books, library books and other forms of literature to support people's mental health. It has been applied in a variety of settings to many kinds of psychological problems as well. The others, there are a lot of definitions there, but now, as we look at it, it's the use of literature helping people to cope with emotional problems, mental illness, or changes in their lives. And this is self-administered because it's a treatment where there's self-administration because now somebody has got to read the book by themselves from as young as, children at the early learning centers or so. as we say, as there's a saying that goes, learning starts in the cradle and ends in the grave. As you were introducing Dr. Sileka, you said he's a lifelong learner. It's just like that. Thank you. And then practitioners in the past also used to treat patients with eating disorders, anxiety. You can see it's all mental illness, even agoraphobia and substance abuses. So bibliotherapy is very, very important. Our libraries are very, very important. Now, tell me, if a library is a hospital for the mind, if a library is a hospital for the mind, and so many minds are in trouble at the moment, why don't we have libraries in our hospitals in the African region? SADC region, what's happening with us? Why don't we have libraries in the hospitals? We have got, there's so much that people can heal themselves with while reading by coupling their minds with those or with the minds of the authors of the books that we are reading. And to tell you, this started back way back, as I said, in 1272. The Western world, America and Britain and Europe, all of the Europe, they have got this. They actually have got libraries in hospitals, and there are bibliotherapists that are hired to take care of the patients in the hospital libraries. This is very interesting. We are way back. I think this is long overdue in our area. Yes, I'll give over to my partner, Dr. Sileka.
Thank you, Doc. Colleagues, it's true. Bibliotherapy has been there. Like I said earlier on, before the technology of writing, people used stories. And as the first point that my colleague made there was of children looking into stories of fellow children who are going through the same problems. What actually happens here, when these children read stories of other children who are going through their own problems, chances are that the efferent reward, or what the child gets from reading a story, is that the child begins to learn that I'm not alone. That sense of not being alone releases what you call serotonin. Serotonin is a feel-good hormone, which is released by the limbic system to reward people for participating in activities that promote and preserve life. Now, when you read, you come across a character, now you feel that you are not alone, and it satisfies that gregarious nature of being human, whereby as a human being, you want to be with other people. Brenda Fassi said, it's nice to be with people. I think we all know that, eh? All right, but let me go on. The short history of that phenomenon. Now, we go back to as far as 300 BC to 1917, when then many people became aware, okay, there's this thing called bibliotherapy, and then they started writing a lot on it. Now, the first record was in Alexandria. I think, ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that Alexandria is not elsewhere, but here where we are in Africa. Yes. 300 BC, the King's Library epigraph had the words, medicine for the mind. Ukulimala kwengqondo, ukulimala kwemzimba. Ukulimala kwemzimba, ukulimala kwemuntu. We manufacture negative thoughts. I mean, we accept negative thoughts. We ruminate on them. The mind ends up telling the body to produce toxins, and eventually the body dies. Mzake Mbuli was not mad when he said, once an injury in the head, automatically we are all going to die. My cousins, my colleague will talk to you about, says more than 90% of illnesses come from the mind, and healing also about 90% of the time comes from the mind. A library in Tibet was dedicated to the healing of the soul. Remember, Tibet is also in Africa, and I'm talking about Africa prior to colonization by the Arabs, by the way. But in 1272, when they had already colonized that northern part of Africa, the Quran was used in the hospitals to cure people. Now, in the 1700s, now in Europe and America, as my colleague said, now that's when they started. Can you see, 1700s? That's when they started with psychiatric hospitals having libraries. Now, in 1802 and 1810 came a man by the name of Benjamin Rush, who suggested that all hospitals in a civilized society must have what we call libraries. And then in 1846, I'm talking about the 18th, first article was then written for the insane by a doctor called John Minson Galt. Now, in 1904, the first professional librarian, the first more than 100 years ago, Kathleen Jones, this name must be remembered. All librarians must remember this woman, was appointed within a mental hospital where she was administering non-invasive medicine, where you don't have to put anything that may even have side effects on the body of a person. And then in 1916, 2 years before my granny was born, Samuel Crothers coined the concept bibliotherapy. If they ask you, tell them this word was actually invented, or rather coined, by a man called Samuel Crothers in 1916. I don't know which event in our history in South Africa would remind me of this. Now, the thing is, at the end of the day, because of what you call state ideological apparatus, some of the curricula in our country on nursing and, let me say, in the health professions do not include, actually, if not, chances are, the majority of them, they do not include bibliotherapy, they do not include the arts, simply because maybe, who knows, if you include them, people might begin to ikalafa, they may begin to heal themselves, as Shakespeare saw it many years ago, and those who are making money out of it might not be happy.
Ladies and gentlemen, books and libraries heal the nations. Books and libraries are medicine without side effects, as my partner has just said.
All right. Yeah. Normally, the aim of bibliotherapy is to use literature to help improve health by providing information, support, and guidance in the form of reading books and other sources. Maybe I should just add something that I didn't agree with. We didn't agree with my partner to add. You know, to be honest with you, today I'm still alive because of a book called No Life of My Own by a Reverend Frank Chikani. You know, in the early days when we were involved in the struggle, I started quoting the interest of the internal security police. And one morning, I remember I was at the University of Botswana, a friend of mine tells me, "Eamon, those guys are coming for you, please run away." And at the time I was very stubborn, but he convinced me. I ended up running away. What I did was not to sleep at one place three consecutive nights. And I had read Chikani's book, but I wasn't aware that I was acting because of that book. And then many years later, when I got money, I bought my own copy because that one was of the library. It was even torn. You would read it, trying, making sure that you place pages on next to where they belong. And that's when I realized that actually a book from Chikani helped me. I got the strategy of not sleeping at one place from Reverend Chikani, which means what was dumped into my mind by Chikani through a book saved my body from being killed, just like Steve Bantu Biko or even Abraham Tiro and many others in our country. You know this history, colleagues. Yeah. Now, when dealing with mental conditions such as depression, coping with grief, drug and substance abuse, it may be difficult for individual to understand what is happening in his body and mind. But now, this is where bibliotherapy becomes useful because it fortifies the mind, it opens your horizons, and then you begin to have multiple perspective advantage of looking at things. You don't just have a monocentric view of things, which may sometimes, if in case you are fixated on a toxic thought, it might end up releasing cortisol on your body and you end up dying. All right. Now, the concept of the treatment is based on the human inclination to identify with others through their expression in literature and art. We've just said it. My colleague said it at the beginning. Now, grieving child who reads or is read story about another child who has lost a parent may feel less alone in the world when they read. And once that thing happens, it means the gregarious nature has been satisfied, and now nature will preserve a person who is able to say, okay, I am not alone. All right. Prescriptive, now we end up now with what you call prescriptive, because some literature, of course, might be dangerous, might not be good for therapy. And we are talking about creative bibliotherapy. Now, you'll have to go to this source for more information on it. All right, all right. And then we have these colleagues. I'm calling them colleagues because they are doing what we are doing, corrective and preventative therapies. Now, we have corrective and preventative therapies. I talked about, now corrective is when you are already going through a condition, but preventative is when you prepare yourself. Now, that is why we are saying bibliotherapy also, or literature, also serves as what we call an inoculation. You know, they vaccinate us to say COVID is coming, so that when COVID comes, your body has had an experience. Now, when you have read about other people's pain, when that similar pain comes to you, you have had an experience, and then you deal with it as if you lived, died, and came back to life, and you know what life is about. Let's move on. All right.
Now, as my colleague was saying, when you read books like this little child, this little Matilda, when you read the books are actually, the authors of the books are actually telling you, you are not alone. Yeah, as you just said,
saying,
you
are not alone. I am here with you.
Though we are far apart,
you always on my mind, and you are not alone.
Now, there's a man called Norman Cousins. That is his book. The book is written by Norman Cousins. It's called Anatomy of an Illness as Perceived by the Patient. We read this book and many others. So from this book, let me tell you the story from this man's, from this book. By telling you the story, I'm actually tapping into the internal pharmacy that every human being has been deployed with to this world. This Norman Cousins was once diagnosed with a terminally ill condition, and he had only 6 months to live. His chances of recovery was only 1 out of 500. Now, having seen that worry, depression, anger, all these negative thoughts contributed to causing him disease, he also wondered if positive thinking or positive thoughts cannot actually bring the opposite, which is good health and recovery in the body. He decided, therefore, to make an experiment of himself. He used laughter. It was his most positive activities that he knew. He rented all the comedy movies that he could find by the time. And this was before the advent of the VCRs, you know, the VCRs. So he had to rent the actual film. He rented all of them in the city. He read, and he told friends to read to him funny stories. This guy had a terminally ill condition, remember? And he told his friends that when they should call him all the time when they had something funny, or when they did something funny, or when they did anything funny, or had, you know, or experienced something funny. So he was in so much pain. He did not sleep. Insomnia was the name of life for him that time. But from laughing only for 5 minutes, he found a relief from that pain, and he could actually sleep eventually. He fully recovered from his illness and lived after 20 happy, productive, healthy years. His journey is detailed in the book that I just showed you.
All right. maybe to talk about the magic that happened, because sometimes when you don't understand how things happen, we just attach the word magic. The truth, as we said at the beginning of this presentation, that even our people from ancient times believed that people have within them an existential capacity to deal with their own sicknesses. Now, we read yet another story, as my partner has just said, from Tali Shorot. Now, in this story, there was an experimentation that was conducted at Princeton University, whereby a storyteller by the name of Annabelle was put into an MRI scan, and then with the view to monitor her neural firings when she's telling the story. And then later, an experiment was done. A volunteer came and listened to the story being told by Annabelle, whereby eventually the aim was to check whether the mind of the listener and the mind of the storyteller would, or their brains would show similar reactions, or what you call neurochemical firing. Now, what happened is the results were, there was what you call a brain coupling. Now, brain coupling is the neural basis on which we understand one another. It creates commitment of the mind and the buffing of the mind against any other idea except for the one where the reader's mind has been hooked in by an astute writer. Now, colleagues, once you start reading, it means your mind will leave any other thing, and then it will be committed only to that which you are reading. I mean, imagine if you have to start a book called The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. And then he begins, just by saying, anybody who is going to read this story and demand sense in it will be shot. He wants to talk to you, and he says, if you want sense from my story, you will be shot. Then he used a number of other things. You'll be prosecuted. Some are easier, at least, but this other one of you being shot. Now, automatically, the guy captures your mind. The same. I mean, there's a book called Nervous Condition by Titi Dangaremga. Titi begins with a line: when my brother died, I did not cry. When my brother died, I did not cry. Let's hear what happened to this woman. Now, maybe you get the book and you've been hurt because of patriarchy, and then you will come across the title, and then you go into its nervous conditions and you feel you're nervous. And then you go into the book, the first line, or you go to a story by Mtutu Zelimacho, To Kill a Man's Pride. He begins with a paragraph that shows what is happening. Now, what normally happens is, now in the story that followed while Annabelle was reading the story, Ronald, the volunteer who also was subjected to MRI, experienced similar brain firings or neural firings that were experienced by the storyteller. Later, it was actually found that his mind was even running ahead of what the storyteller was going to say, and then it anticipated it with a maximum correctness, which means his mind was occupied all along. Now, if you've got stress, instead of thinking about things that have stressed you, once you begin to read, you are not alone. And once you begin to read, your mind has been taken away from a space where it would produce toxins for the body and end up bringing the body to death. Now, because of that, I think we now understand why it is important, because even neurologists have proven to us that reading actually can play a very important role in our wellness, in our wholeness, in our recovery, in our recreation. God created us, but we need to recreate ourselves so that we don't die before the time.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You have heard from our presentation that there is Another form of healing without pharmaceuticals. I'm not fighting with any pharmaceutical industry, but we do not always need a Panadol or an antibiotic to heal ourselves. We've got libraries and books. We've got stories that are told. There are libraries in Europe where people are hired to just come and tell stories for them about themselves, or their life stories or their biographies, not, the experiences that they had in life, just telling that for 30 minutes, and they are paid, and people get healed without taking any medication or pills. Thank you very much.
Maybe I could just add by saying, we know today that a comedian from South Africa has been imported by America, Trevor Noah. He's making millions because he goes there and tells people stories, and people are not aware of the fact that actually self-preservation makes them to go and listen to the story, because there's a natural instinct to preserve yourself by listening listen to things that will make you smile, that will make you forget about all your problems, more like you are intoxicated with alcohol, but without the after effects.
This is interesting, ladies and gentlemen. In conclusion, let us immerse ourselves in Biblia. Let us immerse ourselves in books and libraries. Let us sleep books and wake up books. We have got an alternative to going around drunk and showing people how powerful we are. We are powerful with reading our books and healing our bodies. We can, as such, heal the nations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is a topic for another day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Squared. Thank you very much for the healing. Thank you very much for raising our serotonin levels. And I would have loved to see the visuals of both of you, so that we see the people we are talking to, the people who were talking to us, the people who were motivating us as information specialists. And I'm sure my colleagues out there, they are now, trying to revisit their positions as to whether what they are presenting is relevant or not after your presentation. Doctors, I appreciate the fact that when I read your biographies, I didn't see anything that is talking about librarianship here. That you've got a qualification in library science, a postgraduate diploma, or what. So my colleagues must be running, must be scared where they are because of this presentation. I'm not so sure whether they have invited or they've informed you about the upcoming conference that we'll be having in the Western Cape, that is organized by our association called LIASA. My colleagues from there, Mahoshi must have told you about that by now. We need this presentation there. We need these serotonin levels that have been raised in this particular webinar to be raised there. We need this mind shift that you have brought in, that bibliotherapist. We no longer have librarians now, we've got bibliotherapists. So meaning the tertiary institution must revisit their curriculums. They must now recoin this profession. Thank you very much for the nice presentation and a collaboration of yourselves. I think it will take us very far. The message that I'm taking through and the challenge that you've given us, particularly from the city of Tshwane, I don't know with other stakeholders, we've been challenged by our own principal, Mr. Thabo Mokebe, who said we need to actually see to it that all the hospitals that are within the boundaries of the city have got at least a library that is focused on something, because, with the patients that are there, they are lonely. The only thing that they see is nurses, not that they mustn't see nurses, but they must read something. Now that you have proven his theory that, look, in reading books, they actually are going to fast track their healing process. So whatever authors are putting in their books is actually, most of it is experiences that they've experienced. Now, what is of interest to your, what is interesting about your presentation is that you have actually unearthed and actually made it easy for the next speaker who's doing advocacy and marketing, my colleague and my friend, Mukhadi, to actually, I don't know what she's going to be presenting to us, but I think she's now rewriting some of the things that she's going to present with that. Thank you very much for that. And we hope that this relationship that you have with us as bibliotherapists going forward is not going to end. And we are going to maybe produce more and more. And I hope you are going to make available this presentation to all those who are present here and those who are not present, so that we are moving away. I call it a tavern approach. You know, a tavern approach of giving people books when we are in the library. When someone comes in and borrow books, and then we give him that quantity, maybe we give him 7, 14 books. We don't even ask, why are you taking this book about, diabetes? Is there someone who's suffering from diabetes? We don't zoom into that to say, okay, there is a related book. I'm not saying 100% we're not doing that. There are colleagues who are doing it. But now you have actually catalyzed that skill to say, colleagues, go deeper. Just get a sense of why is this book being taken off. Maybe you can augment with the recent one that has been written by a specialist that can fast track this person's illness. You know, let's be part and parcel of our users' lifestyles. You know, the tavern approach, doctors. Let me also give it my own theory as well. You know, the tavern approach is when a person comes in and borrows books. Whether you have read the book or not, you just give it to him. The tavern approach is such that when a person goes to a tavern, he's sent and said, go and buy so many beers, and then he takes them home. Whether they are cold or not, he doesn't care. So that's a tavern approach. But anyway, without any waste of time, thank you very much for an informative presentation. Thanks a lot. The next speaker is well known to most of us. And for those who don't know her, let me introduce her to you guys and say, Mukhadi Sonyolo is one of our activists in library and information services in bibliotherapy. Now we use the new term, bibliotherapy. Mukhadi is currently working for the University of South Africa. You know, the biggest university here in South Africa, meaning she's got all the collections next to the university, the National Library of South Africa. She has worked as the faculty branch librarian managing geomaths branch library at the University of Witwatersrand and held other various positions, including that of education and training librarian and assistant arts librarian. Her employment in the University of Witwatersrand began in 1994 when she was appointed as a librarian at the Wits Rural Facility. Now you can sense the experience there. She currently holds a Bachelor of Information Science honors degree from the University of Johannesburg and a degree of bibliography bibliothèque or library degree from the University of Limpopo. She's currently enrolled for a master's in information studies or information science at the University of South Africa. Now, if I can go through all the activities that Mukhadi is involved with, this whole program needs actually additional 4 hours because she's actually involved in a lot of things. I think she was going to present them all to you. We are honored to have her here in this particular program to actually present to us advocacy and marketing of libraries. So Mukhadi, if you are ready, but before you start, let me just get a sense if our poet, Lisedi, can't maybe entice us with another poetry rendition before you come in. Is Lisedi still available? Okay. Let us have Mohadi presenting. Mohadi, if you are ready, you can then take us through your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ntate Tlhophe, for your introduction. I'm just gonna briefly put on my video so that those who couldn't sense of what or who you're talking to can see me. But from here, this moment, I'll switch off my video. And pardon me for my voice because it has gone somewhere, I'm not sure. But I'll try. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
And
We can
also,
hear you, Rebecca.
Thank you so much. Greetings to the City of Tshwane Management, LIASA Executive Committee and Representative Council, the LIASA Gauteng North Branch Executive Committee, the LIASA members, distinguished guests, all those who have joined us in this webinar, ladies and gentlemen, and to our distinguished speakers, good morning. Before I continue, I just want to indicate that I was not around, I was on leave, and I just came back only to realize that I am on the program. But nonetheless, we cannot deal away with this special event without LIASA representing or presenting. So hence, I'm also not going to to display my presentation because, as I said, I just had or learned about this 10 minutes before the event starts. Well, I've seen the program that has just been sent to me that I have to share with you about the advocacy and marketing of Library and Information Association of South Africa, which is LIASA. And I'm not going to bore you with a whole lot of what LIASA is all about and all that. But for the sake of just those who may not have heard about what LIASA is, it is a SAQA recognized professional body for the library and information services sector. And this association is actually a voluntary association that represents persons engaged or interested in library information services. And I also am not going to dwell much on the background because Mema Todi has already, gave a background, a brief background about LIASA, and also to just say that's where we're coming from. 26 years ago, that's where we're coming from. And I was one of those people because now the thing for this celebration of South African Librarians Day, we keep talking about Library Week. Now it's Librarians Day. So as we celebrate South African Librarians Day, the thing that is librarians telling powerful stories. So I just want to also say, I was there when the disbanded LIASA and Stylists were get rid of or disbanded in 1995. And I was there at ULIS 1 and ULIS 2, and you carry on and on. But nonetheless, I'm going to also share with you this briefly what LIASA is all about. As I said, it's a SAQA professional body. But then, what is this professional body? Briefly, it actually means anybody of expert practitioners in an occupational field. And this professional body, it includes, amongst others, the occupational body, the occupational things like its purpose first is to actually promotes the public understanding, the trust in profession, the pride in the association. And it also encourages social responsibility and accountability within the profession. So as librarians, we should be accountable, we should be responsible for all what we are doing. And it also promotes the protection of the public by the professional body from malpractice. So whatever that we are practicing as librarians, we need to caution ourselves and know that all that we are practicing is alongside with the SAQA requirements. And it should not, we should not condone the malpractice of it. As a professional librarian in South Africa, there are CPD points that one should accumulate. And you should first, there are a professional librarian, the one that for you to be designated, you need to meet certain minimum requirements. And that person should meet certain minimum requirements such as educational qualifications of either 3 or 4 year Bachelor of LIS, Library Information Science, which is the NQF 7 or 8, or a bachelor's degree plus a postgraduate diploma in LIS. So for a professional librarian to be awarded a designation, you should have accumulated a total of 20 CPD points over a 3-year cycle. So that is briefly on the CPD points. A lot of information or more information is posted on the website for one to be able to become or to register as a professional librarian. You can visit the LIASA website, and then you are able to learn more about that, and then register and become one. The other point that I want to also share with you colleagues is that now that we are celebrating South African Librarians Day, this is one of the LIASA flagship. And for one to be called a librarian, as I've just alluded, you need to register as a professional librarian. So for you to also be registered and be a member, of course, everything else, when we come to work or when you go anywhere else, if you are driving, you'll need fuel. If you catching a taxi, you'll need a fee for that. So for LIASA to also survive, we need membership fee. And for 2023 membership fee, I'm just gonna cite the individual membership fee, which is already we are halfway through on the year. So it doesn't matter, but you can still join now because our cycle for membership is running from January to December. So it means whoever is joining now would have forfeited the 5 full months of benefits. But nonetheless, we are only asking about 720 for an South African individual for a membership, which runs up to December. And then thereafter, you are able, the membership is renewable every year. And for one to become a full member, you will only become a full member once the full payment has been received. In other words, if you haven't paid the 720 in full, there is an option as well for 3 months, but that should be 3 consecutive months. If I pay now in June, I should continue to pay in July and August. That means I've divided the 720 in 3 months, and I don't have to jump any month. I have to pay whenever I start, I have to complete until the 3rd month. And on that, it is only when the full payment has been received that you are considered to be a full member, a full paid up member of LIASA. Payment can be done via EFT, and forms are accessible on the LIASA website. So for more information about the payment and whatever, if you are not sure, if you have consulted the website, you still have some doubts or you're not sure of what to do, we are having our LIASA National Office staff members. Apelele is one of them. He has just joined us in this meeting. We've got Level, and then we've got our manager, the interim manager, Rachel More. So you can be able to contact them in the office and find out more about whether it's the professional librarian status, or if you want to renew, or if you want to join, or if you want to update your membership. Whatever the case you need to do. So there are benefits, a lot of benefits that comes with the membership, which I'm not going to take you through, but you rest assured there are benefits that you get. One of them can be receiving the magazine, the LIASA In Touch, 4 issues per year. And one of them is to get a discounted rate if you're going to attend the conference this year. And I must say, before I also continue, just to tap on what you said and about our 2 doctors that have just, I was laughing along here, if you could have seen me, being interested in what they are saying. And I also thought, pause a bit and said, oh, hold on, did you say they are librarians? So, but I'll be talking to Mahoshi about that as well afterwards, so that we can see what to do with their beautiful and wonderful presentation. But I have to pause and ask each one of you here to say, as an LIS worker, which association do you belong to? If it is not LIASA, because the only association that we have in our country is the Library and Information Association of South Africa, LIASA. So you ask yourself, up to this era, and based on your experience, your work experience, you've been working in the library, not unless you've been a physiotherapy with Dr. Silika and Dr. Palani. And otherwise, if you are still working in the LIS, which association do you belong to? Now, the LIASA has come that far. I'm talking about, we head into 26 years this year. We are actually 26 because our birthday it's in July. So we are in the process of restructuring. And I need to pause and ask, if you are a LIASA member, what contributions are you bringing so that you see this association moving forward? If you're not a LIASA member, are you still considering, or perhaps you're going to change the careers? Because if that is the case, then you can belong to another association. But if you are not, you're still in the LIS profession, surely you should consider or ask yourself, which association do you belong to, and how could other people, benefit from your contribution? Because if you are not part of this association, we can never kind of share with you your contributions. We can never know what your inputs are, what your ideas are. So until you become part of this association, so that you are able to share the experiences and share what you are going through with the relevant association, or with the relevant group of expertise that you belong to. At the beginning, I think you had my previous biography. I'm not enrolled for MA. I am a graduate now. I've managed to go past that at the moment. And just one thing that I highlighted in my recent bio that I shared with Elizabeth is that I've just been appointed at the IFLA BCM, which means bibliographic conceptual models review. So I'm saving that. I will be saving that. They will be appointing us officially at the end of the IFLA conference this year. So that's the additional part that I've sent, and I can see you are reading the previous bio. But nonetheless, that is still in order. Colleagues, the membership that types, we do have two. You heard me saying I'm going to emphasize on the one, which is the individual membership. And it has got several categories as an individual membership. We've got those that are SA undergraduate students, South African interns, the South African pensioners, and the South African unemployed. All of those are just paying the same amount, which is just 310 Rand. So the rest are African individuals and international individuals. And the other type of membership is the institutional membership. So you can belong to the city of Tshwane as an institution, as an organization, and then you are able to be a member under the city of Tshwane. But you must bear in mind that all of all the other benefits are not the same when you belong to an institutional membership as compared to when you are an individual membership. So I don't want to go much into detail, and I will pause from there, and I would like to thank you so much. And I also want to say happy Librarians Day to all librarians. And we're looking forward to meet with you or to see you at the LIASA upcoming conference in October at the Somerset West in Cape Town. Thank you so much, Ntate Tlhophe, for the opportunity, and everyone else. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Master Signolo. If I can call you that, because, you know, with the people who've got doctorates, we call them doctors. So we must have a title for masters, you know, when we must say master, you know. And thank you very much for that presentation. And I hope all the librarians attending here and the aspiring ones have noted that, you know, LIASA is the most cheapest association in the whole world. It's 2 cents per day. I don't know if you are all aware. I've just been working out from the membership that you've just said. It's 2 cents per day. If I'm wrong, maybe it's less than that. So who can afford 2 cents, colleagues? And Asmukhadi, Mina, I want to push for LIASA to change the name to BASA, you know, having learned from the previous presenters that it becomes Bibliotherapists Association of South Africa. You know, we become bibliotherapists. Yeah, but that's me. Thank you very much for that. And then we hope with this presentation, our membership status at LIASA head office will increase, the numbers will increase. And then when people are going to the conference, they will be going with value-adding presenters. As I've said, I'm hoping that even the previous presenters, Dr. Sileka and Palwani, the association can just maybe invite them to do a presentation just to, you know, present and their own concepts and their own understanding with the content that they've given us here. Mukhadi, thank you very much for that. The next speaker would be our acting divisional head, Mr. Ishmael Mbogoto, who's going to be actually giving a motivation to all library information specialists or bibliotherapists attending here. Is going to be doing a presentation. And then after that, can I ask the poet to actually be ready, because I really liked a previous poem. So I would like to ask her to actually prepare herself for that. Putmandla, I'm not sure if you are ready for presenting, if we can flight your presentation.
Thank you, Chairperson. And I've requested through the email that I've sent through, if you can check on your inbox, either yourself or Elizabeth to assist with the projection. As I was trying to project on my side, it seems as if I've got poor network connectivity. I'm connecting offsite. I'm here at Melrose House Museum now, as we were having another program earlier in the morning.
Okay. All right,
and
let me try my luck and my little skills to actually try and do that. Do you see anything now?
It's appearing and it's on the last slide.
All right, no problem. No problem. We'll fix that. We'll fix that. Fix that. Fix that. We shall fix that.
Thank you, Chair. And all distinguished guests, and my apology for having joined the session while it was already in progress. And I would like to appreciate to all the presenters and the organizers with regards to participating and bringing forth this program as in the nature of the proceedings that are occurring today. And it is very exciting and encouraging to see that we've got our stakeholders and relationship continuing as we've been anticipating to see that growing every day and towards the new current what called a dispensation, and the recreation of our service continuing with the aspirations that we can see from our librarians as professionals with the support team, because our librarianship will always continue to be successful with the support of the very dedicated teams that are working with us, and we become so glorified within our communities to become relevant, and we become loved, and we become a point to run to. The presentation that we are getting from the, thank you, Mr. Kloppe, it's okay, yes. The presentations that we received from the doctors, they definitely gave us another life to say how important we are continuing to be in our society. What role are we continuing to play? So we need to continue and give that zeal and energy within our sector. And on behalf of the City of Tshwane, hence I'm here just to continue on the very same breadth and length to say there are other initiatives that are being provided from national parameters in terms of other stakeholders running through, and with the interest of promoting reading and learning in our country and our society in general. So our spaces and our libraries will continue to tell powerful stories. And what are those powerful stories we can go to? Let's look at the dramatic change on the second slide that we need to change in terms of our levels. Are you able to move the second slide?
My screen is on the second one.
Okay, but it's on all right.
Okay, you can go through if maybe you have.
About the details, I'll continue. What we look at in terms of the dramatic change and need to recreate, you know, we always know that our libraries are also in the midst of dramatic change. Technology has transformed how we find and use books, how we gather information, how we learn. And the fourth industrial revolution has shifted the landscape and how we tell these stories that have contributed to the global knowledge, memory, and communication. To that effect, we also know that libraries are the heart of a community. They not only provide access to books in all formats, they are also spaces or a space for knowledge, access to information for all, and occasionally an escape from the harsh realities of life. So what is it that we are doing to make sure that we become relevant, to become the heart of the community? We have in the city of Tshwane come on with other initiatives that we are generating to roll out within our community libraries to become community spaces, which I'll be able to elaborate further in terms of the deliberations, in terms of what we are doing. We're moving into that space of becoming the heart of communities as spaces that they can interact, as spaces that they can find knowledge, information, and other related needs that they can continue for sustainable living and development. But one exciting part, one has to come about in the month of June. The National Library with the National Department of Arts and Culture, they commissioned another project which was led by Nalibali Trust in partnership with other stakeholders with funding from Zenex Foundation, DGM, and the National Education Collaboration Trust. They conducted the National Barometer Survey. Why am I focusing on it? I'm focusing on the National Barometer Survey to identify our relevance. Is it still relevant in our communities to say our service is still being acknowledged? Are we still playing a part? How do they view us? So with the results in terms of the survey that was conducted, they completed the survey with 196 questions over 800 variables to 4,251 respondents. The survey did give out adult reading respondents, indicating that on the 100%, readers indicated that there is some qualities or they are able to read in terms of the level of reading at 89%, and reading with children, whereby families, where it was, the initial one was adult reading, where you have the point of responses being at 89%, but reading with children, that's adult and their children, it's at 47%. Our focus on libraries, a total of 2,804 respondents have indicated that they ever visited the library. So you look at that to say, we still have a point to become relevant, and we still are relevant within our communities. And the communities still believe in us as librarians, and libraries are still centers of interaction for information, for other interactive processes that one will require in their life. So our focus on libraries will be there. Although we've got digital reading, respondents have also indicated that those that have access to internet. But then one wants to bring in the point to say, with us having these centers where we have the physical resources in terms of library resources, books and other publications that we can provide, we also provide a space where we've got internet access. So our libraries in the city of Tshwane, we tried our level best, although there are still those teething digital glitches that we encountering in terms of network distribution. Although we are trying to cover all libraries, we are at a comfortable stage to report that most of our libraries have internet connection, and it's only a few that are still having those digital glitches where we have network issues of proximity fiber not even always connected. But we are trying our level best to ensure that our libraries have the provision of both physical access and digital access, to resources in our spaces. When you look at reading, it is also commonly known that reading is an activity engaged by most people throughout their lifetime. And then how do you focus on libraries? Our libraries remain important places for reading, but are still not accessible to all, in many users don't borrow books. And many users don't borrow books. So that's one other outcome from that reading barometer, to say our libraries remain important places for reading, but are still not accessible to all. This is one question that we need to ponder. When they say they're not accessible to all, or how is it because it's a community library and situated in the close proximity of communities, and many users don't borrow books. So that's what we need to look and ponder about. And digital reading is growing significantly, although access remains limited and unequal, and many readers still prefer paper. Those that are remaining and to prefer paper, it is mainly and solely because where there is no connectivity, the only form of resource that you'll get will be your conventional books that you'll go for. And on issue of languages, South Africans are multilingual readers, and people want to read in African languages, especially less active readers, but not enough text available in their preferred languages. So in our drive in the city of Tshwane, we made it an effort to say we are going to promote local publishers in terms of procurement of resources from local producers of the content. And we are also having a drive whereby we are procuring indigenous content written in indigenous languages, so that material and resources are available to the local communities in the preferred languages of reading indigenously. So we are trying to be multilingual, although there is a limitation in terms of that provision. So those are the challenges that we have to grapple with as spaces where we need to provide for equity. So language is also important to consider, and the digital part also important, and the space is also important in terms of what are we providing when, and our operational hours. Are we going to be flexible to accommodate the needs of our communities? And I keep on making reference to the decline and demise of the South African Post Office. It has been inaccessible in terms of their service provision, and other role players took advantage of that. And look at what is happening currently. Post office is becoming history, it's diminishing in the face of the communities, and it's no longer the most preferred medium where we use to travel, to go and access intercommunication and parcels and the rest. But now you receive your parcel at your doorstep because other role players saw an opportunity and they perfected it. You don't even have to walk away from your place of comfort. They come to your doorstep and deliver your parcel. Even in your hospital bed, some of them are receiving their parcels delivered in their places of care. So that's the challenges that we are experiencing. We need to innovate in terms of that level to say, how do we become relevant? What was proposed within the report, it also indicates that for libraries to remain relevant into communities, we need to increase accessibility and promote libraries in communities, and raise more awareness about libraries' digital services, such as checking out ebooks. So we also need to look at strategies to retain young library users as they grow older. You cultivate and captivate them as they are young age, so that by the time they grow older, they become your regular users. Make it easier and more enticing for library users to borrow books. For example, by streaming sign-up requirements, running campaigns, and removing late fines. So these are some of the benefits that we need to look at as part of service delivery. We need to also collaborate with campaigns that give away free reading materials on large scale, such as the Nalibele campaign, Book Dash, and others, to distribute via libraries. So which means our libraries should be centers for free access to reading material apart from the ones that they can loan. That's how you encouraging people to own resources. Those that will have a book that they keep and own up, and then they say, I've got 2 or 3 books that I can look at my shelf in my house. Then I'll have books that I'll be able to read and loan out from the library. That will be more a strategy of encouraging reading and promoting learning within our communities for sustainable development. Nonetheless, on that note, I would like to encourage our librarians and professionals and our stakeholders today to say, for the City of Tshwane, we are moving with times. We have taken that initiative seriously, where we're collaborating with the Gauteng Provincial Department, and we shall also motivate for internal funding into our budget that we are receiving to integrate community creative spaces in our libraries, so as to encourage multiple users in terms of multi-purpose activities happening, like your digital recording studios, photography, film recording, and other related digital material production. As you know that the new age of TikTok, WhatsApp, and other related social media, they are taking the world by storm, and where content is available, then we'll be able to record our stories, we'll be able to record our narrative, and we'll be able to share and stream using the very same platforms within our community spaces and our libraries. On that note, Program Director, and to everyone, our stakeholders, I wish you a successful and a prosperous stay in the library profession. I would like to thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mbogoto. Even though people didn't see you, those who don't know you, they would have loved to see how you look like, so that they don't pass you by the way, and they don't know that the content that was given by this professional. Thank you very much, Mr. Mbogoto. We can see you. Thank you very much. And also, thank you very much for making time, because we know you are rushing, you are from another meeting, you are actually holding many caps. You are holding many caps. You are holding fort for the divisional head. You are also feeding into the MMC's office. You are all over. Yeah, you are an example of a multitasking principal. So you are a visionary person. So thank you very much for the presentation. And I hope my colleagues and the specialists that are here present have taken note of some of the things that you have highlighted, especially from the National Barometer. In fact, that is actually feeding to the National Reading Summit that the National Library had earlier this year, where they've highlighted very, very scary challenges that it's a very high percentage, extremely high percentage of children who can't read for comprehension. So it's very challenging to hear those type of findings. And also for people who are having interest in this particular field, we will take it to heart that we would want to come up with solutions to these particular challenges. Thank you very much for that. I hope the colleagues have taken note of that, and also are creating their own visions, because leaders without vision, they are a concoction for disaster. So for this particular field to stay relevant, we need visionaries, people who will consistently visualize where is this profession going to be in the next 100 years. As you have highlighted, that the post office actually led to its own demise, because they didn't actually research on the competition, what the competition has. So library field, the library sector has got a lot of competitors. However, if you look at it from another angle, you would see them as value-adding competitors to our own sector, because we can use their expertise to actually advance our therapy to the people who are actually in need of the information that they are in need of. Thank you very much for that. And then we'll forever, I'm sure people who want to then want to have access to your presentation, they will actually indicate so, as a lot of participants or attendees have actually sent in their comments, and they've commented on the previous speakers that it's very powerful presentations that they've actually received. And it's something that would actually add value to their works, to their environment and their spaces. Now, we are actually somewhat doing well with time, because we are now heading towards the last item, which is the vote of thanks. But before Mr. Naidu does that, I would like to actually also lay some mat for him if the poet is ready, and then I can then also try and squeeze in the last video that the city has created. I would like to boast with my colleagues the skills that they've actually accumulated. They're now producers of videos. I don't know whether they'll be producing movies that are library related in future. I suspect that is going to be a reality, led by my colleague Elizabeth Ramukhlokwana and the team in the task team. So is the poet ready? Lisedi, are you ready to actually render us a poet before Mr. Naidu?
Yes, I am ready.
All right, okay. And also you can let us see you if it's possible again to see you. Yeah.
I don't know how to switch on this camera. I've been trying, so I don't know if anyone can assist me.
Try Alt.
Hello?
Alt V.
Okay.
And can we acknowledge the technician who's assisting here? Lisedi, you can go through, don't worry. Don't worry, you
All
can
right.
go through.
So I'm gonna recite 2 poems, and then, yeah, I'll be concluding. So the first poem is titled Fire, and then the second one is titled Shalungano. Shalungano meaning storytelling and vendor. I decided to put out the fire, hold in the smell of smoke and wind in my lungs to keep the flames a part of me a bit much longer. I switched off the stove before it burned the entire house to the ground, sang lullabies to the spark that glitters in the night. I've decided to love like I've never been hurt before, like my father never tried to burn me alive before, like I've never seen the lover inside my mother's eyes and tried to reach out before. You see, I've always been drawn to burning things. As a child, I've gone lengths of burning my own skin just to make me one with the flames. This is not a metaphor. Flames will not consume me. Fire will preserve me like it did for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego back in Babylon. Shalungano, Shalungano. By fire we were made. Set apart from our ancestors who walked on 4 limbs, we are by far the greatest species to walk the face of the earth. We are firebenders. We control the burning of the moon and the stars. We draw our energy mainly from the Sedilelijan. We absorb heat through the pores of our skin, hence our stories were told around campfires. Stories of miners who left their homes so that the stove can keep burning in foreign households. Stories told underground of collapsing grounds. Stories of ancient times when the rocks were still fragile, when the Azanian sun would rise in the west and set in the east, when our people were as wild as eagles. You see, these are some of the stories that were narrated by my grandmother to my cousins and I during cold winter nights every June holidays. She'd put out the fire. The hot residues and the smoke that was left behind would serve as a reminder that our people were once firebenders. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisedi. Thank you very much for that poetry rendition. And then, Mr. Naidu, let me just steal at least 2 minutes of your time before you do the vote of thanks.
You're welcome, Sipo.
Yeah, and just to share one of the videos that the colleagues have actually produced. Yes. Can you all see that?
No, it's still coming.
Colleagues, the video is not playing. According to the projected slide, it seems as if it needs to be opened by clicking on it.
Still not playing, Mr. Fope.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think I think I've got a challenge here. The video is not playing. So I think we'll then outright go to the vote of thanks by Secretary. Secretary, are you ready?
Yes, sir, I am ready. And if you want to, I can put my video on so you can see my face. So
yes, that will do.
Okay.
That will do. Yes.
Great, guys. And I'm going to put the video off now that you've all seen my face, but I've got a lovely picture of myself there. So I'm sure you can watch that. Not very good.
No, Secretary. Someone who thanks, we must see him, the sincerity of the thanking. We must see it.
Okay, Mr. Sipo. Sipo, well done. Okay. I'm just going to read out some things that I put together. And firstly, good morning to you all, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, representatives from the city of Tshwane and members of the LIASA Gauteng North Branch. It was a great pleasure and deep gratitude that we express our sincere thanks on this special occasion of celebrating Librarians Day. This event has brought together the city of Tshwane and the LIASA Gauteng North, highlighting the significance of libraries and the invaluable role they play in our society. We would like to express our gratitude to the following individuals who have contributed to the success of this event. Firstly, Mr. Sipo Shlope Bande, the program director, who has done an excellent job. And thanks to you for filling in for Ishmael at a critical time, and for your insightful presentation and reflections and celebrating the role of the librarians in development and promotion of the reading in Tshwane. Right. Secondly, I'd like to thank Lesede Moloto for a wonderful poetry rendition. The two poems that she had displayed were wonderfully read out, and I must thank her, and I'm sure she will get some awards for that. Then I would like to thank Dr. Edward Seleke and Grace Fulwani for their enlightening presentation on bibliotherapy. It is wonderful to know that we can heal through books, and that, yes, you are not alone. And I remember those things because those are the kind of things that make you come alive without taking any medication. Thank you. Thank you, guys. That was wonderful. And to our Mukhadi Senyolo, Rebecca, for a wonderful outline of why you should join the LIASA organization and how important it is, and why she makes us so proud of being part of that membership. Okay, we would also like to acknowledge the hard work and commitment of the task team and all the members of the LIASA North BEC and Interest Group Program team for their efforts in organizing this event. Also, not to forget the sponsors, TUT and City of Tshwane and Sebinet, for their contributions of gifts at other times as well. First and foremost, we extend our deepest appreciation to the City of Tshwane for their unwavering support and partnership in organizing this memorable event. Your dedication to promoting literacy, knowledge, and the access to information is truly remarkable. By recognizing the importance of libraries and librarians, we have demonstrated your commitment to fostering a culture of learning within our organizations. We would also like to express our gratitude to the LIASA North branch for their invaluable, national branch, for their invaluable contributions and collaborative efforts. Your passion for librarianship and relentless commitment to professional development has greatly enhanced the service offered by librarians in libraries in the region. Through this initiative and program, you have empowered librarians and library staff to continuously improve and provide excellent service to the public. A special thank you goes to all the librarians and library staff present here today. Your dedication, knowledge, and enthusiasm has transformed libraries into vibrant hubs of learning, discovery, and community engagement. Your unwavering commitment to assisting others in finding information, your need and fostering of love for reading is truly inspiring. Our gratitude also extends to the library patrons. Their continuous support and patronage contributes to the thriving of libraries. Your presence here today is testimony to the value you place on libraries and the critical role they play in our community. Your curiosity, thirst for knowledge, and encouragement with library resources contributes to the growth and development of our society. We would also like to acknowledge the teachers, educators, and parents who instill a love for reading and learning in the young generation. Your efforts is to nurture young minds and encourage exploration of wonder of literature and information are invaluable. Through your guidance, you are shaping the future leaders, thinkers, and creators of our world. Lastly, we express our gratitude to all the individuals who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to organize this event. Your dedication, attention to detail, and passion for celebrating librarianship has enhanced the resounding success of today's celebration. In conclusion, let me cherish and celebrate the librarians, library staff, and institutions they represent. They are the guardians of knowledge and the advocates of literacy and the facilitators of lifelong learning. Together, the City of Tshwane and the LIASA Gauteng North Branch has created an event that recognizes the invaluable contributions of librarians and the critical role they play in our society. Once again, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to the City of Tshwane and the LIASA Gauteng North Branch for the support. To the librarians and library staff of their unwavering commitment, and to all the individuals who have made this event possible, may we continue to promote and nurture libraries as beacons of knowledge, inspiration, and community engagement. Thank you guys for a wonderful presentation. And with that, have a lovely weekend, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Sekren, for those words of thanks. Thank you very much. And to all those who attended, I wish that message, filtered through you, all of you guys. Thank you very much for attending this program. Thank you very much to God himself for making it for making it possible for us to actually meet on this particular day, because everything is determined by him. So I believe that everything that we did, it was because of his grace and his actually authority to allow us to do all of what we did today. And I hope all the librarians, all the stories that were told in this program, they found space in your heart and minds, and they were comprehended to the latter, that you are going to create activities that will then make sure that the visions that were presented here are materializing in your own spaces. Thank you very much. I would want to declare this program, it's now the end of the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.